Hello, Cyberfart. Okay. Give me a sec. I'll sort out the drinking stuff as usual, and then yeah, we're gonna start. I'll be right back. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I'm back. So, Zig does indeed need a lot of work. It does, yes. Also, Zine. Yep. You created yourself a lot of work projects. I definitely did. Fuck me. Isn't it a lot of burden slash work? I'm also wondering, what is your background experience? My background experience is, I don't know, I studied bioinformatics. I'm a software engineer. Um, uh, I do not have a lot of, I mean, I went to university, but I don't have a lot of like formal education with regards to languages. I think that's actually a plus. I think that not having studied too much in detail formalisms about languages is actually beneficial for what I'm doing for two reasons. One is I don't understand how complicated it is to do things, so I jump into things that I would otherwise probably decide to avoid. The second is, with all due respect, I feel like a lot of programming language theory is misdirected, or rather, it's let me put it this way. I see that there are some aspects of formal language theory that are obviously useful, but they are incomplete. They are just a tiny fraction of the overall picture of what is the experience of using a language. And sometimes I see people that come from a strong academic background come into like the real world and try to do things, and they hyperfixate on that stuff. And that makes them worse. That makes them worse than they would be otherwise. Case in point, look at all the languages out there, not just programming languages. I mean, languages more in general, right? So like file formats and that kind of stuff. Look at how many languages are out there that just have no tooling for them, that have obvious, horrible user experience flaws that were not fixed. So I'm coming at Ziggy from a different perspective, and I think that is beneficial. That is not to say that theory is useless. It is not, obviously. If you try to parse HTML with a regular expression, you are indeed dumb. But I'll say this. I feel that the people that really understand deeply how dumb it is to use a regular expression to parse HTML sometimes forget that in situations, for example, where you only have to parse a very limited set of HTML whose structure is absolutely set in stone and well known, in some of those cases, you can use regular expressions and it works. And that is the kind of, expedient mindset that should be entirely forgotten, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. But okay, I'll finally move to, I feel like, what is the actual answer to this question. Why am I doing this shit? The reason why I'm doing this stuff is because this all started from the idea that I wanted to give the Zig community a good static site generator so that they could make websites for their projects. Because if you're making a project and you're somewhat serious about it, you want to make a good static website for it so that people can learn how cool your project is, read the docs, that kind of stuff. And I wanted to give like a nice way for the Z community to do that. At the same time, I was a long-time user of static site generators, and I had opinions, and I so decided to embark on doing things my own way, let's just say. Also, I feel like this is a nice way of showing the prowess of Zig. Like, my language servers are not perfect, but they're decently fast, and they're not even the fastest they can be. I am actually all this time I'm almost purposely sandbagging how better the performance can get with all the language servers that I made, and Zine itself in general. Like, I'm purposely not really going all in with what I could do for performance. So, and even then, they're just already significantly better than pretty much all the competition out there. Zine is an order of magnitude faster than Hugo. It is faster than Zola. It's not as featureful. So I will definitely admit that to do a proper comparison, you need to, you don't need necessarily strict feature parity, but if Hugo is, I don't know, minifying CSS and I'm not minifying CSS, then obviously Hugo is doing work that I'm just straight up not doing. So saying that I'm faster isn't as meaningful. But in any case, thinking about Zine, does it aim to be something like what Astro does? Like good SSG overall? Can you explain this a little bit better? For example, why did you bring up Astro specifically? Is it just an example that you happen to be familiar with, or is there a reason why you're saying Astro and not, for example, Hugo or Gatsby or Jekyll? Like I'm just wondering what you're getting at. University has a bias for things that are easier to formalize. Absolutely. So parsing more than all the rest. That is a good perspective. That is a good point. Yeah. Okay, so this actually works. Let me show you. Actually, I have, I think, a build error that I just introduced. I think in test. Yeah, because compiling actually doesn't care. I think no, this should actually be a runtime error. It should build but be a runtime error. I just broke something, so it's a tiny fix. Give me a sec, I'll fix it. There we go. Uh, just familiar mostly with it. I guess Hugo is also a good comparison. Okay, sounds good. So Hugo was my favorite static site generator before I made Zine, and you could say that it is what a source of inspiration for Zine to some degree. I would say it's in good part inspiration for what to do, and also inspiration for what not to do. Obviously, I cannot go like Zine cannot be very similar to something like Astro, because Astro, I believe, is JavaScript. So it Astro has the ability to do runtime reflection, metaprogramming, fucking around with the build pipeline at runtime in a way that it is just not possible with Zine, unless I were to give Zine its own JavaScript language in a sense. So Zine is more similar to Hugo in that sense. It's more statically structured, which personally I believe to be a good thing. Not in an absolute sense, but it is a good thing given my interest, my perspective, my priorities. I like the fact that you are constrained in the way that you express things, more constrained than you would be in, for example, a JavaScript framework. So there's like no hooks, no weird shit going on. That also helps me. I like it also because when I look at somebody else's Hugo and now Ziggy website, it's easier to find my way around it because they don't have the ability to do weird stuff. But obviously that comes with pros and cons, right? If you like the ability to do cool hooks and whatnot, and you want server-side rendering, but also mixed in with some weirdo JavaScript front end thing, then yeah, you can do it with a JavaScript framework. You cannot with Hugo, or rather, not everything can be seamlessly integrated as it would otherwise be able to be. But I think that Zine is significantly simpler than Hugo. Not just because it has some things that Hugo has that we don't have, but even when it comes to the features that we have parity with, I think the Zine equivalent is strictly simpler and better. The templating language that Zine has is better than Hugo templates by a mile. The way that content is organized in sections, the way sections work in Zine is maybe not immediately trivial and obvious to everybody, but it is, in my opinion, really the minimum amount of complexity to make this stuff work in a good way, while giving you still a good amount of flexibility when it comes to how you want to structure the website. What else? So yeah, in general, my point is I want Zine to be a competitor with the big ones. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and because I'm bootstrapping everything from scratch. It's a bunch of languages that I made from zero, and but we'll get there. And I think that once we get there, the experience is going to be strictly superior to what Hugo offers, because we're going to have a better. I would say at the very least we're going to have a better tool chain around the static site generator. Meaning, you want to make an edit. Like this is what I'm working on making work right now. By having schemas. So right now, I'm working to specify schemas for everything and have the schemas work semantically. And with this, you're going to be able to open your editor, open a content file, and have go to definition in the front matter. I don't believe you have that in other static site generators. Maybe some will have the ability to do that. I actually would be curious to do like a proper overview of which ones allow this. Like, do the static site generators that have MDX files have any kind of code intelligence for what you put in the front matter? I would bet they don't. We're gonna have code intelligence. We already have top-notch code intelligence in when it comes to templates, and I want to bring this also to content files. Also, here's another cool thing that that we do that I don't know if the other static site generators do. I think Zola does. Hugo, I'm not sure if Hugo does it, but I find this to be pretty cool. Where basically, let me see if I can show you. Let's say that I decide to create an alias for aliases, an alias for this page, and I'm gonna call it rss.xml. Actually, it's gonna be index.xml. That's wrong syntax because you need to close it in quotes. I swear I know my own language. There you go. Look at this error. Error, output URL collision detected between blog/index.smd, page alternative RSS, and good open source. This is the blog post that I was editing. I was editing the good open source blog post, and I gave it a page alias that collides with the alternative version of the index named RSS. If I show you the if I show you this has this prints out an RSS version of itself, and this I chose an output URL that happens to collide, and that produces a build time error. So we notice collisions. With Hugo, I believe the result, at least the last time that I used it, maybe hopefully it got better in the meantime, but the last time I used Hugo, it's essentially undefined behavior, like things override one another, and whatever ends up happening happens. Also, here's something funny. This website was, until very recently, this was my last Hugo website, softwareyoucan.love. It's a very simple website. There's almost nothing there. Software you can love. It's literally just this one page. It was a Hugo website. It was still a Hugo website until a few days ago because I don't touch it often. I mean, there were some recent changes where I added this, but you can see that it jumped from 2024 to 2026. So I edited it to add Software You Can Love 26 Vancouver. In any case, point being, let me show you GL-P. Here's the funny thing. When I updated this Hugo website to Zin, I found that I had a stupid syntax error in my HTML. I had somewhere, let me see, I was hoping it would be trivial to see. Maybe it is not as trivial to see as I thought. Maybe it is not as trivial to see as I thought. Yeah, I don't remember where it is. I'm not immediately seeing it. But in any case, somewhere I had a div, and then another, and then what was supposed to be a closing tag was another opening tag. And because the templating language doesn't give a shit about what's going on with the HTML, I essentially had wrong HTML. I had a div that was supposed to close here, but instead it would just open another nested div inside of it. And oh, you know what? Maybe it wasn't in that commit because I fixed it earlier. I'm gonna read a couple more commits in case that it does show up. No, anyway. So, well, what is my point? Yeah, my point is that this cannot happen in Zine. In Zine, you cannot write malformed HTML. It's just impossible for you to write malformed HTML in a template. Because the moment you do, you gotta build error. And that is something that Hugo doesn't do. And we're still faster than Hugo. So, yeah. Is the idea to have, wait, will SuperMD LSP actually include Zig LSP? What are your plans for that? Yes, the moment that I make a proper SuperMD language server, it will essentially have inside of it a Ziggy language server. So I will have to make sure that the bits and pieces of the Ziggy language server are accessible from the SuperMD language server. I think so. It would be nice if language server protocol had a concept of, you know, embedded languages, but I don't think it does. I think there's just a half-assed hack to make that work in VS Code, but it's not part of the language server protocol. So I will essentially have to bundle, quote unquote, the Ziggy LSP inside of SuperMD. Yes. Or is it the idea to have a Zine LSP that includes Ziggy SuperMD Super HTML? You know what? Sorry. Good point. Good question. I actually don't know. It will have to be at least one of the two. Because W3C validator disagrees that HTML on Super You Can Love is valid. What is he bitching about? In any case, I am not following the W3C spec. But it's probably complaining about missing stuff, I think. That there's an H3 after an H1 without H2. I see. Well, that is, I believe, not a hard rule in HTML. So if you find the WHTWG spec, so if you find the HTML living spec, and you see that there is a rule that says that cannot be an H3 after an H1 without an H2 in the middle, then maybe I'll consider making that a hard rule. But I don't think that is actually a hard rule. And if it is, I'll still put that into question because, man, some parts of the HTML spec are so fucking stupid. I'm not gonna get into this though. It's gonna be an endless rant if I start. Okay, so let me see if I fixed everything. I believe I did. But by the way, I got everything working. Let me show you. For example, here I have outwards, which is a list of strings. Title. What can I show you stuff with? So I have. I think I already demoed this yesterday, but because I don't think so if I go and change the Zig type definition, then everywhere we use that thing, it's not gonna compile. So it's not particularly helpful. Oh, but I can do it here. Wait, I can do it here, and so I can change this to bool, for example. And now if I run the type tester, the type schema tester, it will fail and it will say root config inversion has type slice of const8, which is incompatible with bool. So the schema type checker works because if we go here, then you can see that this doesn't match. But check this out. If we make these bytes, or more importantly, if we make these optional bytes, look what happens. This says schema type optional bytes, optional, requires this field to have a default value. I should say this Zig field. Let me add let me add that thing. Okay, let's watch it again. So the idea is this. An optional string is not compatible with a string, but, and not only that, it is also telling you that when something is optional, it must have a default value in Zig. Because so I could fix this by doing this. So I can make the types match. I can make it optional. And you will see that making it optional will reduce the number of errors from 2. These are 2 different errors. It will reduce them to 1. So only 1. Schema type bytes optional requires the Zig struct field to have a default value. So this was something that I started thinking about yesterday, realizing how everything should work. Then I polished the idea afterwards, thinking about it off stream. But the idea is this: when something in a Ziggy schema is an optional or a dictionary or a slice of something, then the Zig definition, the Zig definition that we consider compatible, when it's a field, when it's a struct field, that struct field has to have a default value, because the semantics that we're going to have for Ziggy schemas is that struct fields that have a optional type, where the outermost type is optional, those can be omitted, and omitting implies null. When they are slices, so for example, that would be in the case of here, for example. So for example, title, if title is missing, that implies title set to null. If authors is missing, that implies authors set to empty slice. If something is a map and it's omitted, that implies empty map. So because of this, then it means that if you want to have a corresponding Zig type that is supposed to deserialize and also technically serialize this type correctly, then that type must have a default value for these fields that you pick. Or rather, I mean, you will probably want to have null for optionals. You will want to have an empty dictionary for dictionaries. You will want to have an empty slice for slices. But it's up to you what you want to do. Lastly, here's another thing that we're doing. In Ziggy schema, this system, the type checker, will consider compatible also if the schema has an optional type and you do not have an optional type, but you have a default value, meaning that this schema is compatible with a corresponding Zig definition like this, or uh, or another one like this. Title non-optional constituent equals empty slice. And whether that is empty slice or anything else, that's up to you. So both these Zig definitions are considered compatible with this. In this case, you preserve the knowledge of whether you were given an empty title, the title is missing versus when you were given an empty string for the title. But if you don't care about this distinction and you're fine with just having the default value set automatically when this is null, then the deserializer will do that automatically. And so with this, I've essentially made I've essentially made everything how I want it to be, and I have my personal blog updated, and you can see that my personal blog doesn't have to specify everything. Here I was just messing around with setting that to null just to see what would happen. But essentially, this is my personal blog updated to latest zine, and yeah, and it works. So, and this is all type checked, so I know that my stuff is not going out of sync in a dumb way. And errors are still good. Like if I provide a missing layout file, it tells me that it's missing. If I set it to like null, it tells me unexpected value null. Probably this message should also tell us what were we expecting instead of null, but that's an improvement for another time. So this is good. The next step is getting this code intelligence here. Right now, I cannot go to definition. I cannot get an error message that tells me like putting here null. This is a schema level error. Like we know this from the schema. Layout is not an optional slice. So null is an invalid token at the schema level. So we want this in the editor. And to get this, we need to add the missing functionality from the Zig LSP. So we're getting there. This is all, everything is coming together essentially. I really want a global way to limit Zig logical cores jobs, something like Zig jobs or global config. Global way. Like how global? Because when you run Zig build, you can pass the number of jobs. How many Zig builds are you invoking at the same time? Okay, so what am I doing now? Essentially, I just got these schema stuff to work, like the new things, where I just added compatibility between types that are optional with types that are not optional but have a default value, that kind of stuff. So this is done. I think the next thing that I want to do is update Zine init so that when we create the new default website, we also install private. We also install schema files, and also install the schema files, and we print them out in the right locations. And then we want to instruct the Ziggy LSP to pick those up. Although I think that some of this logic is already present in Ziggy, most of it. So yeah, we want to install schema files. Is there more that we need to do here? I don't think so. At least for now, this is fine. This seems good enough. Maybe it deserves some fuzzing. I don't know. But this should be fine. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, this seems fine. Let's take a look at Zine init. Let's make it install them, and then what else do we do? Um, yeah, it's kind of it. Let That's the next step. So init WinZ here. Oh yeah, init slash zine.ziggy. So this is Zine version now. And oh man, actually, Zine version about that. About that. We would like for this value to be tied to the value that we have in our zone file. How do we make this happen? I guess we turn it into a template essentially. And we say this. Let's see what happens if we do this. Okay, so what else is in init? All the other assets. Probably want to check out these guys. Oh no, look at this. Dot date. Author doesn't exist anymore. Let's submit draft. Okay, so I think we're good with this post. Post does not mention the author anywhere. Huh. Interesting. Uh, that's fine by me, I guess. That is fine by me, I guess. Mm. Let's look again at zin.ziggy. Right, simple. Okay, so the rest is correct. Probably want a trailing comma here. Oh, the auto formatter is adding 2 new lines. I hate this. Save without formatting. Then we need to go in init.zig, see how we do everything. And I think we need to give FMT to one of these guys. I think the zin.ziggy does not show up in here. We comment it out. And for each file, their name, base there, create file. Path already exists. Is there really no way of doing formatting for this guy? Hmm. Wait. That's how it works. SCD FMT comp time print. This is the format string. And what we want to pass is version. We have zone in here. Ooh, shit. No, we have this. We totally have this. We absolutely, most definitely, totally have this. Version. There we go. Okay, we can see what it is. Also, what can we see? It's just a version. Man, what a mess. Okay, I think this thing here could probably be improved, but anyway. So have it in options. Okay, let's see how it goes. Compile error, of course. Why? Cannot slice without specifier. Oh, yes. It has to be a string specifier. Oops. I think I should pass around the Semver stuff in a better typed manner, I think, but oh well. Expected auto curly found slash. I think it's because of this. That sucks. Could be worse though. Okay, so with this we can go in here. Okay, a bunch of errors. Oh, I'm still calling it ISO. Oh god. Wrong field style, use FMT. Okay, so there are still some issues. I can fix them. Oh wait, I got into tests. Never mind. I should not be touching those now. Also, I think I want to do the date change. So in page, actually no, date time. I want this case to be not ISO, but I want it to be date. Okay. Let's see if we still build. I think the schema needs to be updated. Page. No, this was already updated. Right, but we were not testing it. Wait a second. Why was this fine? Oh, it was fine because date is a custom type. That's why we were not finding this. Sudo, please. Hi, dude. What are you building? I'm working on a static site generator. Check this out. zine-ssg.io. I'm making some changes to how front matter data works. I have a JSON replacement language called Ziggy, and I'm making it better. Okay. So we build again. Build with the AI verified by humans? No, build by myself, verified by me. And verified by a fuzz tester, which is think of it as high frequency AI. Okay, so now that the static, the example website works. Okay, so everything works. We can close this. Next, we want to add the other files that we want to install when calling init. And here, I think we want to add. I guess we just add them to the list. So before this guy, we add .ziggy schema, and this is an embed file of what? Um, so we're in CLI init.zig. We need to go up by one level, then schemas, then zine.ziggy schema. And why did I copy that version with all the fucked up logic? And then we want to do the same for content. And here one page. Ziggy schema. Yeah, so we have a .ziggy schema file in here, which is good. Does it get picked up? It does not get picked up. Restarted Ziggy. Oh, it's crashing. Okay, so we're gonna need to do something to make sure that everything works. Isn't the Ziggy correct? Oh fuck, almost. There's the V thing that we actually don't want anymore. So how are we gonna do this? We go into init.zig and we do options version and then one dot dot. Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, Perfect. Oops. So we essentially are done with this. Before I work on these ones down here, let's get the LSP working. It was crashing. Why is it crashing? So let's quit this. We don't need this now. So we have this that's telling us about the crashes, and Oh, it just straight up crashes every time it loads. Why? It crashes while trying to parse. Wait, how the fuck does this work? We're trying to find schema at. Wait, how is this working? No, no, okay, it is working. It is working. It does make sense. Okay, it does make sense. This is a schema of a Zin website config file, usually named Zin.ziggy. Load expr. Attempt to use null value. Find container type. And this fails. It's the nesting. It's the nesting that it's finding a bug. Okay, so we are actually loading the schema file correctly, but we are putting ourselves parsing it because I somehow did the one thing that would cause it to fucking poop itself. Yeah. And it seems it has to do with simple or something. Schema est container index, find container type. Find container type. Scope, search name. Are we fucking up the search name or are we fucking up the scope? Oh yes, no, we're totally fucking up the scope. It's not scope. Oh my god. Wait. Wait. I actually yeah, totally. This is wrong. Fuck. 2119. It's not scope. It's our own node index. What is our node index? Scope last stack. Wait, scope is only used there? Why do we even have a stack of scopes? Why do I even have a stack of scopes? Oh, wait, because I'm in the process of building everything. Yeah, but I don't. Um, I'm a bit weirded out by what is going on. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, no, it's okay. We're not building, we're validating. It's the validation that has this problem. Why do I have a stack of scopes? Oh, no, okay. I know what I have a stack of scopes. But that's not where I want to start from. I want to start from the schema node corresponding to the current type. What is the, or maybe it is the stack scope, but does it contain always the thing that we're at? Hmm. Okay. I thought I had it, but I don't think I actually do. I thought I did, but I don't. if we see an identifier, that identifier is solved in the, yeah, it is in the last scope in the stack. That is correct, actually. That is totally correct. How are we failing to solve this thing? And the search name should be correct. So if I do log.debug, if I do this, search name equals simple, which is correct. Where is simple defined then? This doesn't get matched correctly. Oh no. Um so here we're mentioning simple, and yeah, this guy has simple. Let's double check that our starting container is site. Let's double check that our starting container is site. So whenever we resolve something, scope stack append. So here, log.debug, struct so that is search name, container IDX. And we do the same for unions. Where are unions? Union. Oh, Jesus. Unions are fucked up. Name row, schema, scopes, get container index. Where is container index defined? Up here. Oh, there we go. Oh, everything was up here. Okay. So kind of here we would like to say union search name is this. And I guess here we can avoid this. Okay. Let's see what happens now. Start config 3. Union site 10. And okay, sorry. So now we need to log 2121. Okay, so actually we do want this, but we care also the starting scope. Actually, we care more about the scope than we care about the search name. We searching simple inside of scope 3. Scope 3 is start config. No. it should be site 10. Why are we not inside site 10? We are not inside site 10 because site 10 has no more fields to validate. That is for sure. But we still need it there. Either that, or we have some other system to know that we should start from that node. I could try to change the way that the stack of containers works. I just think it's gonna be fucked up. So if you are leaving a struct, we pop from the scene field stack, and we pop from the scopes stack. If you are leaving a union, yeah, there's some messed up stuff happening in there that I don't really want to touch if I can avoid it. So this is a horrible bug. We cannot start from this. Do we have anything better than the stack of scopes? We must have something better because we are looking at an expression. This expression is inside of a fucking field, which is inside of a struct. So we should be able to go up twice, or rather, yeah, we should be able to go up twice, up to the field, up to the parent element of the field, and that should be our starting point. Up, up. Can we do up, up on the expression node? Do we have the expression node somewhere to do up, up from? Please, good sir. Type expert IDX. There we go. So we don't want this. Starting scope is going to be schema ast dot nodes at type expert idx -1. That's going to be the field. Then we do parent idx. So we are. Then I think this is it's actually much less worse than I worried about. This is it. Expression node, field node, container node. This also works for the root expression because it's going to be type expression, root type expression, root scope essentially 0. You know what? Let's keep the print for now. Just in case that stuff goes wrong and we can debug my wrong assumptions, I guess. Shit. We do poop ourselves. Scope equals 1? Come on, man. No, scope does not equal 1. Fuck it. Why? Why does scope equals 1? No, that is not good. Unless the problem is somewhere else. No, but we're still trying to solve simple. No, the problem is always trying to load simple. Starting scope is not a scope. Shut up. Shut up. I think that comment is. I put that comment there essentially to suggest that when this fails is because I computed my AST math wrong. Okay, so let's look at it again one time. We are here. Isn't this searching for simple from side scope? It should. It's not doing it, but that's what it needs to do. Yes. It needs to do it from here, but it doesn't do it. It was previously wrongly starting from config, and scope 1 is okay. No, uh, because the site scope is node 10. Because that index is not like 0 and 1. They are nodes in the AST, and so like this is 0 is the root node, then this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, this is 8, this is 9, and this is 10. Yeah, no, it's not a nesting number. uh yeah, what the fuck are we saying 1? Because this -1 gives me this, and then parent should give me this. Is this also fucked up? God damn it, man. Is this also fucked up? We need more log printing, essentially. So, um, uh, so this is the field, and this is the field parent. Okay, let's print this stuff and see where it gets us. Did the build somehow fail? What is going on? I did put these extra prints there. This is the only place where we have search name. There are no other places. Okay, so field config, field parent config. Oh, wait. So this means that we haven't updated these variables. So the outer variable is not updated yet. Then we must have some inner variable that knows what the fuck is going on. Wait a second. Why is this being updated? How is this being updated? Type expression stuck. type expression start. Sorry, type expression stack. Oh, wait. It's because. Oh, type expression index is not the node. It's the index inside the type expression stack. What does the type expression stack contain? Oh shit. Tags and locations. Oh, it doesn't contain node indices. That's kind of bad. That is kind of bad. Wait a second. I completely fucked up this use case. Let's just say this plain and let's just say this in a plain manner. We kind of fucked up this thing. I'm looking at a essentially I'm looking at a node. Yeah, because we combine these things and we oh shit, and we keep looping in and out of them. So this is not what I thought it was. The fact that I don't push union, the fact that I don't push on the stack union definitions is bad. Is really bad for the purpose of resolving things. But I guess I could enhance this by keeping also track of the index. Oh, but this is just tokens. This is like just a list of straight up tokens. God damn it. Isn't it hot like hell in Italy? It is kind of hot. It's not the worst yet. But yeah, it is kind of hot. I'm staying inside. I have a ventilator. I have a cold drink, and I am fine for now. Except the fact that I messed up this algorithm, like this tiny corner of the algorithm, I messed up. I will say this in my defense. When I originally created unions in Ziggy, they were meant to be typed unions, like struct A, pipe, struct B, pipe, struct C, pipe, struct C. And so a union could not define a scope with nested definitions in it originally. And and so you kind of see maybe partially why the decision making was like this here. I think the thing is, the to me it seems that the quote unquote best solution would be to push. It would be to push, but man, no, it is guaranteed to mess some stuff up if I touch the stack of things. Load expression. I guess I'm gonna attempt this. So when we enter a union, I will attempt to push to the scope stack, and then when we leave a union, to have a leave union event essentially. Exit exit enum. Yeah, in this case we don't care. We only care when it's a union. So for a struct type expert stack items. Scene fields stack pop. Holy shit! I this logic is so convoluted. But I guess we just do this. Let's try. I don't know. Any Ziggy start. Node tag union type x per stack items len type x per idx -1. So we are pulling out a bunch of type definitions. Any Ziggy start. Yeah, this is the Ziggy node where, so if there was a Ziggy node where we started being under any, then so if this is set, we are under any. Otherwise, we do this. If we are under any, what do we do with regards to scope? I don't know. But with regards to tags, we don't touch them, which I think makes sense. Or rather, we decide we pop the any if we are leaving that node. That makes sense. What do we do with structs? Struct doesn't concern itself with any because it's a field thing apparently. Yeah, struct field does essentially exactly the same. So I would say that if we are in a union and we are not under any, so this case here, we want to pop the union. And essentially we want to assert that this container is a union container. And we want to assert that it's a union. Oh, and this is all under here, essentially. There we go. Like this. And then we need to make sure that we push when we enter a union. And we are not under any. How does the struct do it? Entering a struct field? No, we're entering a struct. Scopes struct dot append. What happened to your Awebo project? Awebo is currently, well, I circled back to the static site generator, so I'm doing some work on the static site generator. Awebo suffered from some C header file translation regressions in Zig, so essentially I'm waiting for those to be resolved, and they are being resolved in the meantime. And I'm using this as an opportunity to do some work on the static site generator and data serialization language that I haven't touched in a while. So now I'm essentially making the rounds, if you will. I'm improving on those. After I'm done, like I'm gonna make a new release. After I'm done making a new release with these things, I'll go back to Webo. Uh, okay. Does this work? Does this mess up our tests? It does. Oh no! Wait. I think this is related to the other changes that I made that are whack that I need to fix. This is total whack. This is absolute total whack. I think that's how it was. Okay, some tests are failing, but that's because I improved the error reporting. It went from 3.1 duplicate field foo to 3.1 duplicate field foo. This. Huh. So this is actually fine. This is actually fine. This is actually fine. These terminating with signal abort, I think, are not fine. Oh, the way that's a earlier build. So this is where we start. For these tests that fail are actually fine. They're essentially snapshot tests that need to be updated. Do you use ZLS? Yes, I do. Um, so this is actually good. Did I not mess up anything? I don't want to be too optimistic, but I feel like I might not have messed up stuff. Maybe I did. Okay, this is still happening like this. Wait a second. Yeah, no, wait. This is still a mess. Why is this still messy? Did I not save? I did save. Oh, wait. You know what the problem is? It's the fact that I run test instead of running Zig build. I was running test, which does not rebuild the executable. Or rather, it rebuilds the executable, but it does not install it. Okay. There we go. 0 errors. So that means that now I can do go to definition or not. Oh, I can do here go to definition. So this works. This works. This is failing. Oh no, we're failing to resolve that go to definition. Why? But that is, I mean, that's a bug in the LSP code, the implementation of go to definition. So can work on that next. So far, it seems I haven't horribly regressed anything. That surprises me. I mean, I'll take it. That's a win, but yeah. Do you feel there are some questions? Because some of my questions does not appear on your board at all. No, I don't, but YouTube does filter stuff. And here's the funny thing. When YouTube filters stuff, I don't even get to see it. So this is YouTube. I'm sorry, man. YouTube comments suck donkey ass. That's just how it is. If you put links in your question, remove the links or, try to put spaces in them. I don't know. If you said anything that you think Google might be tempted to censor, try to do something about it. That's the only thing I can suggest. I don't have control over that stuff. Okay, so that's what we fix next. Give me a second. I'm gonna take a very quick potty break, and then we fix this also this other go to definition. Maybe it's related. The fact that that other code had issues with nesting definitions inside of unions, and the fact that this go to definition doesn't just so happens to not work for something nested inside of a union, I think there might be a connection there. We'll see. Give me a sec. I'll be right back. I'm back. Will IO evented be feature complete for the upcoming release? That is a good question. I don't know for sure. I think no. It is not a blocker for the 017 release. So the 017 release will happen regardless of what the state of IO.evented is. Okay, so why are we messing up this go to definition? Because it hits the union. Why does it hit the union? Oh wait, it doesn't even hit the union. Previously hit the union. Like, so this is a null? This is a straight up null? What, man? Okay, let's take a look at what's going on in here. I think at this point we want to move this back here or something. Like this. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna close this. And in here, no, here. So Ziggy, rebuild watch. Let's see what happens. So, do. Want to go into the LSP. Want to take a look at the definition thing. Here's resolved over at offset. Wait, is this hover or no? This is definition. So this is building success. Definition at offset 51. Evaluating the inversion. Evaluating site. Resolve field name site. Value hit. Resolve scope index 3, Ziggy index 5, union, schema index 7. Why is value hit not like looping as it should? So this is a problem we resolve, which is in schema AST. We can take out this stuff from here, I think. Or you know what? We can leave it there. I mean, it's debug printing. Who cares? Should be fine, at least for now. We'll see if we change our mind. But now we are looking at resolve Ziggy offset. So what is resolve the Ziggy offset doing that is dumb? When we enter a union, is the offset in field or value? Union value hit. Zig index plus 1. Yes, we are entering the child of the union. Actually, is it +1? Is there a concept of a union field? No, there should not be. There is no union field. Is there? Please tell me there is no union field. Why is there a union field? Why doesn't a union just contain a value? That explains a few things. Resolve value hit. Resolve field name site. Resolve value hit. Are we failing to recurse from the struct field somehow? So I think we didn't even get here at all. It seems that we completely fucked up in the struct field case. Struct field, show me value hit. Value hit. So we start again. I feel like I'm doing something kind of dumb somewhere. I just joined What Are You Building? I'm writing tooling for my static site generator called Zine. If you go to zine-ssg.io, you will find more information on the static site generator. Right now, I'm working on the data serialization language that I'm using called Ziggin. It's like a JSON replacement. Mm. What am I messing up? Oops. So in the Ziggy document, is the value a Ziggy index +1 from the field? Yes, indeed. And then after that, if we loop again, if we loop out there, then we're gonna end up with the next tokenizer, which, if everything works correctly, should be set to identifier. And so we should be getting to an identifier. which we solve. Why is there a or else return null? Wait a second. There is no or else return null. This has to succeed. If this fails, we messed up something. There is no or else, I think. And guess what? It's exploding. I invested a lot of time on Rust, about 7 years. Now Zig made me lose Rust trust? Anyway. But in Zig, you have to build everything yourself. Again, it's early stage ecosystem. What do you recommend me? It is partially because it has a early stage ecosystem, but I can promise you, even in a future where the ecosystem is significantly more complete, you should be still building more stuff yourself than you would otherwise, or than you would in Rust, for example. This idea that Rust projects have like easily depend on like hundreds of crates, not necessarily direct dependencies, like the whole dependency tree ends up being like hundreds of crates. And it's not something that you should consider, let's just say, idiomatic, Zig. In Zig, the idea is that you don't take on that many dependencies that easily. I would even say that the this is I think is a really key difference in perspective between Zig and Rust. When I was discussing, and again, I'm gonna say Zig and Rust, and obviously I can't even speak for all of Zig. Maybe I can to some degree, given that I'm in the core team and I've been doing it for a long time. But even then, I cannot speak for 100% of the Zig ecosystem. Obviously, I cannot say something fully representative for the Rust ecosystem either. But I recently I was on an exchange. I was exchanging comments on Lobsters with somebody that was like from Rust. Let's say somebody used to Rust, and we were talking about the assert stuff. So the context of the discussion was different, but they said one thing that I find telling. They were talking about how for them, their expectation is that their dependencies are code that they expect to be lower quality than their own. This was mentioned in the context of assertions because we were talking about enabling assertions, disabling assertions, turning assertions into optimization opportunities for the compiler. And this person was saying that so for example, in my case, what I was saying is, well, I generally want to build my own code in maybe in release safe, but then I will have some dependencies that I totally want to build in release fast. And this person said, no, I don't believe that. Or rather, for me, it's more compelling the inverse case, the case where they build their dependencies in a more safe manner and their own code in a less safe manner, if anything. That was kind of the idea of the discussion. And I think this is interesting. That is, I mean, if you have a bajillion dependencies, like if you easily accumulate tens of dependencies up to the hundreds, maybe even, then it makes sense that you don't want to trust your code. But in Zig, it's kind of the opposite. In Zig, I would say that the general expectation is that you only take as dependencies code that you think that is better than yours, in a sense. Like you only want to take on very solid dependencies, a few very solid dependencies, not a bajillion dependencies that you collect just so that you can do a little bit less work, and then you have no trust in the code that you added, that you depended on. So my point is, get used to doing more things yourself. Zig is not a language where you just glue dependencies together. I mean, you can do it, obviously, right? Nobody's going to stop you, is going to be able even to stop you if that's all you want to do. But if you're putting in the effort of using a lower level programming language and you're managing memory manually and you're doing all the things, like you're you're going the extra mile to make your code efficient, then you don't want to squander those opportunities and the effort that you put into this lower level control stuff by then just gluing a bunch of random dependencies together. So my recommendation is empty your teacup in this sense. Like you need to change your perspective with regards to dependencies if you enter the Zig ecosystem. That doesn't mean that you have to embrace entirely what I just said. Obviously, you can make your own choices, live your own life. Maybe, you can even, and it doesn't even have to be a matter of rejecting this idea. Maybe you have a project where you're more serious about it, so you're more careful with dependencies. Maybe there's another project that is more throwaway, and then you just collect dependencies because you don't care. It's just a throwaway thing, just to get something going. You're prototyping something, whatever. Absolutely fair. But in general, the perspective that we have on dependencies in the Zig ecosystem is different than what you have in other ecosystems. And it is more skewed towards doing more work yourself. And there are reasons why we have this perspective, which you don't have necessarily to, agree with 100%, but they have a reason to be there. If anybody's interested in this general topic, I recommend you check out this talk, Hello Systems. I gave it at System Distributed a while ago, and it is, in my opinion, a decent. Well, first of all, it's about my static site generator. So if you're curious about the static site generator stuff that I'm working on, that tells you a little bit about it. But then also, it gives you an idea of these perspective on dependencies that I just talked about. Kind of hard to say anything about any community based on some member interactions. Yeah, obviously you cannot. There is diversity in all of these communities. Not every Python developer will think the same. Not every Ruby developer will think the same, of course. But it is also true that there are cultural trends in different programming communities. Like, for example, having a bajillion dependencies and doing insane things. That is true on average in the JavaScript ecosystem. I think there is no point in trying to deny it. And does that mean that every single JavaScript developer out there does that? No. But it is true that the ecosystem, the general discourse, what is considered socially acceptable, the length of the average package.json, or more like package.lock. Well, the log file. I don't remember what the actual log file name is, but the length of the average log file is going to be not all that short. Let's just put it that way. And I would argue that it is true that the same is true, relatively speaking, between Rust and Zig. I think that even in the future, the average length of a Rust log file will be longer than a build.zig.zon. In our case, it's the manifest file. We don't have log files. We're not going to have log files because we're not going to do... We're going to do minimal version selection, whatever, MVS. And so, yeah. Okay, so somehow we're fucking this up. Why are we fucking this up? I bet you we're fucking this up. Oh, wait a second. Schema.ast, scopes, get this scope, and then types get. Oh my god. Okay, I see the problem. That's on me. Const container x container idx equals schema.ast dot find container type. Starting scope is going to be scope idx. Type name is going to be container name. But we need to do this thing. Well, here's how we do it. I'm going to move this expression in there. That's it. That's why we were failing. This is why we were failing. One compilation error. This is optional? Oh, right. But question mark. Because that cannot fail. There we go. Value hit. Looping on value. Union value hit. Resolve. Start field. Okay, so now we survived this part of the code. This was literally me not having upgraded to the full implementation for finding a container type. That code was essentially simplistic, and it kind of knew that it was simplistic. I forgot that that's what was there, and I didn't immediately recognize that the pattern was wrong and that needed to be upgraded. Once I recognized that, this was a trivial fix. So now we are correctly entering the union case, union value hit, but then stuff is going out of whack because we do union value hit, and then why are we not looping again correctly? Or rather, well, we most definitely are, because if we're hitting this, we are looping. But this is not getting us where we want. Why? Now, let me think about it. I think this code is wrong, essentially. And probably we need to complicate it. So we entered a union, and now, based on the tag, so we have the name, we have the schema field. Hey, Emmy. Hello. Good morning. Emmy, I'm finally getting to the next stage when it comes to upgrading Zin to a new version of Ziggy, and I have a few cool things cooking. Check this out. I finally have this. Let me see where I have the right tab. I have a bajillion tabs open, and schema est. This is what I'm modifying now. Okay, so check this out. I have in your site, I have this. I have a schema for the Zin config file. I complicated it a little bit compared to what it was before. I added a Zin version. I added the ability to specify custom values so that you can access them from site.custom. But here's the most interesting thing. This type here is this type here. Is this bad boy here. It's this guy. You can see it's a config, Zin version, site custom. Zin version, site custom. So far, so good. But check what I have. I have dedicated, this is a dedicated root source file for a module that only exposes this type definition. Why? Well, because let's say that I decide to change this to minimum Zin version, then now I can do, I need to have a bunch of forks because I'm developing this stuff locally, but I can do, I'll keep error style minimal. I run my tests, and no, there's going to be some compile error that because there's something half-baked or something. No, it worked. So check this out. The test failed, and it tells me minimum Zin version field not in schema. So my type has a field that is not present in schema, and then it's missing Zin version because, I renamed the file. Well, so far, so good. Then let's say that I forget that this is supposed to be a slice, and I think, I'm going to make this a struct that contains, major, minor, patch. And like, I'm not doing anything terrible, right? I just made a mistake. Tells you has type blah blah blah, which is incompatible with optional bytes. So it does full blown type checking. Think of it this way: people are used to having schema language, data serialization languages, config languages that have a button to generate a compatible type definition in a language. Delightful, awesome, but that doesn't help you keeping things in sync over time, especially when you have an interest in having your data, your Zig type to also have logic in it and maybe hidden fields that you want to exclude from the serialization process, like fields that help you essentially with runtime bookkeeping. And this keeps you honest. How does it work? It works like this. Inside of Ziggy, Ziggy has a actually it should be in the build script. Ziggy has this build function called add type check step, where you pass in a module that has as the only public decals in the root file types that need to match the schema, a lazy path to the schema, and then it runs the type checker on it. And so that guarantees compatibility. So I'm using it now to make sure that my my Zine types don't go out of sync with the schema. And now I'm also making sure that the schema works as it should with the editor, right? So that in the editor you can do go to definition, you can do show me the docs. Oh, this show me the docs crashes the LSP. Okay, so there's the LSP is work in progress, but you get the idea. I can do go to definition though. That works kinda. Actually, there are still cases that I'm working on making one specific case of go to definition work. In any case, what is the idea? The idea is that yeah, everything is in sync. You should be able. While here, I'm modifying a pure Ziggy document. This should also work with SuperMD files, so that you can go to definition. You can get autocomplete, you can get diagnostics and everything else also in SuperMD files. And I'm unlocking the kind of the next stage of development experience with this stuff. Also, I'm 100% going to use Ziggy for the config file of Awebo. I mean, I was gonna do it anyway, but having this stuff work well, it's definitely a good motivating reason. I think that this is pretty decent for config files as is. You don't have to have a top level object because you can omit the top level curlies. So this is a top level struct, but you can omit curlies. Formatting is cool. You can do this kind of stuff. Well, it doesn't look particularly good in this case, but you get the idea. So for example, here I could take this out. So the usual stuff that you expect works. And diagnostics work, go to definition works. Yeah, it's gonna be a good experience. And the schema is readable, man. Can you imagine you go to definition and like you have a schema that you can read and it's not like an insane blob of garbage named .json schema. So okay, and end of rant. I'm going back to work. So what were we doing? Were we touching Zine? No, we were touching Ziggy. We were looking at the LSP. We were looking at this function. Why are we failing to loop the union value? Ziggy index seems correct. These seems correct. Is this correct? Yes. Container IDX needs to be the union. Is it the union? Yes, it's the container that we have resolved just now. So that's going to be the scope. Type expression index. Schema field index +1. Let's print the schema field name. I want to see it. Yeah, I'm using it. I think there were a couple of things I wanted to mention you. Uh, oh, look, one thing that I noticed is that my cursor bug is starting to bug out. It looks like it's following me, but in reality, it's not. I think this is a weird regression, but I don't know if it's I suspect it might be ghosty. I haven't updated ghosty in a bit, and I don't remember when this started. Oh, actually, I have a couple of things to tell you on your side. One is I ended up disabling the Markdown auto formatter, which I believe is prettier, right? That is auto configured now. Um, I Oh, it's a flow regression. Okay, so I I just cannot use it for two reasons. One is it wants to auto format the contents of HTML blocks, and that is just bad because, or rather, I get it in general, but my HTML blocks have a specific formatting that is specific to Super HTML. Like it's not doing Super HTML style auto formatting. So for me, it's a problem. For me, it's a special problem because I'm trying to, for example, it broke all my examples. They stopped making sense because I was showing examples in the Super HTML README and they got all borked. But anyway, setting that aside, that's a specialty thing. The thing that is actually really bad is that it does not respect double space at the end of a line. So in Markdown, a double space at the end of a line means a hard break in the output. And this guy was just eating them and not giving a shit. So I don't know. I found that problematic for myself. I'm just sharing. I'm not saying that you should change your default. Frankly, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously suboptimal, but it's also Markdown, so it's a mess no matter what. So I don't even know what to recommend. Anyway, okay. Let's take a look at the union value hit now. Update marksman. Oh wait. Why do you say marksman? I think it was prettier. Why did I have prettier in my config file? Did you by any chance use prettier at some point and then changed it to something else? I don't think I configured prettier myself because I don't like it in general. Union value it simple. Yeah, prettier. Okay. I have 362. Is this old? The following tabs are not trusted. OpenSH ban. Damn right. Yeah, I got it updated a little bit. Do you want to proceed? Oh my god, it's asking now. Do you want to proceed with the upgrade? Holy shit, Brew. Are you becoming a decent package manager without telling me? Holy shit. It's giving me a preview of what it plans to do instead of just YOLO doing it and leaving me to face the consequences. And there's this concept of not trusting random third-party apps. What the heck? What is happening here? Security, user experience. Also, it doesn't seem that it's... Wait, this is not trying to update everything on my system all at once. What? Why? Why are you not trying to update everything? I'm gonna say yes just to enjoy the experience. Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Although, why are you updating Node for Prettier? Isn't Prettier like a Ruby project? I don't know. Holy shit. Yeah, Brew Grew Brain. Wow. Okay, what an experience. So, union value hit and it only prints simple. That surprises me. I expected this to print more than just simple. How is this schema field? I'm confused. Schema est, scopes, get, container index, fields get name. Oh, this is a field definition. So it contains the lock, which is just the name. And I guess it contains index, which is the field node. And we change to that type expression. And we set the tokenizer to schema est nodes type expression index .log.start. That is correct. So in theory, the loop after this should say Ziggy is at a struct definition and our token is an identifier. Resolve struct. Oh, so we do see an identifier. We do resolve struct, and then we look at the Ziggy node. Bracelet struct H, struct V. Resolve empty struct, and then evaluating fields. So what is going on? How are we not evaluating fields? Resolve struct. Okay, let's enhance this a little bit. Struct field. Why are we on a struct field already? No, dude, why are we on a struct field already? I think I might have messed up. And I think this +2 Sorry, whatever I did the +2, yeah, which I think is here. I think that +2 might have been wrong. Don't tell me that union field exists, but I don't use it. That would be hilarious. Holy shit, it works now. Brew grew brain. I grew brain. Holy shit, that is mind blowing. But unfortunately, hover doesn't work. Uh, okay, so this is all correct now. Let's see what have I done wrong with hover. Hover resolved. Hover node any. Show me a hover. Hover offset 67. Resolve, 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 resolve. Resolve, 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 resolve. Hover node. So this guy has docs, definitely. So why is hover node wrong? Um, tag union. Tag union? Docs offset 0. Field hit. Huh. Start union, start field, union field. And if doc offset is 0, then we do nothing. And our tag is gonna be tag union. So we do enter here, but docs offset says 0. Wait, there's a few things that are going out of whack here. Wait a second. So let me start with contender path. Resolve start Ziggy tag start V. Evaluating title, host URL, contender path. That's the match. Resolve field name contender path. Field hit. So why does the field hit not result in anything more? Okay, show me the field hit case of a struct. Field hit. Are we passing wrong information here? Field IDX. It grabs the node of the container. Oh no, if field index is different than 0, if it's a field hit, oh man, okay, this logic is wacky. That is the problem. Hmm. I guess exactly what you want to do is print first the field docs, then print the scope docs, if there are any. Yeah. So it's let's say that we can enhance this. We look at the node. Why do we look at the node? Now, okay, let's do this better. So field docs should be like this. Out.print. Um, Actually, do we even have write all? No. We do have print, do we not? Yeah, we do have print. Print arena. So if resolved field index is different than 0, so first we do field docs, then we do container docs. And if we didn't print anything, we return null. Otherwise, we return something. What's the problem? Oh, how do you click on one of these guys to go up here? Is Zig the language with flakes? No. The language with flakes is called Nix. Nix. The reunion is ignored. Ah, fair. Okay. Let's see. Restart language server. Space K. There we go. Field. Directory containing your supremd content. I think I prefer the hover version of this. In the editor, I mean. There we go. I think we should also trim these. Oh shit, I can't append. Can we do print? How do print? There we go. Yeah, that's the minute you tried out Nix. I have. This is NixOS. I have a virtual machine with NixOS. I'm not using it right now, but I do use it somewhat regularly. Isn't it like an OS? Nix is a package manager. NixOS is an operating system that uses Nix as the main config language, and maybe package manager is not the right term, but let's just say package manager-ish type of thing. Do, 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 do. Pipes are piped. No, that is a capture. The idea is that if you're looping, that is how you define the captured variable. It's like for each for foo in list of foo, list in this context is what you put between pipes in Zig. It's also used in other contexts, so like it's a construct that you reutilize a bunch. So there we go. Field URL where the website will be hosted. It must not contain a subpath. See URL path prefix. Field a semver string representing the version of Zine that your website requires. I wonder why the scope is even a thing. Why is it not the direct parent? Why am I not just doing the direct parent? I think I should do the direct parent of one of these guys. Okay, so far so good. What if I do it on a value? Scope. This is the schema of a Zine website config file, usually named zine.ziggy. Yeah, no, I don't want to print scope. That is a bad idea. So field is fine. Oh. First of all, this check should have checked for scope EDX, but that's fine. But I don't really want to do the scope. I'm going to comment this out. We'll decide what to do about this at another point. The iterator. Um, Technically, that is not the iterator. Technically, the iterator is something else. That is just the value that you obtain at any specific iteration. The iterator is the thing that remembers the progress that you made through the thing that you're iterating. So it's the thing that, like, in a simple for loop over an array, the quote unquote iterator is just the index variable. But if you're iterating through something more complicated, then the iterator is a struct essentially that remembers how far you've gone into that data structure. So it's the iteration variable if you want, but it is not the iterator. Although I'm being nitpicky because people do sometimes call this stuff iterator. So I think you're essentially saying you're understanding what that piece of syntax is, but the terminology is not the correct one. And I'm just pointing it out. Okay, so Zin.Ziggy. Does this really not have any new line in here? It does have new lines. I shouldn't tokenize. I should split. Wait a second. Something completely dumb is happening here. What is going on? Wait a second. Wait. What the heck is going on here? I wrote something dumb. Why am I not seeing this? And I don't think I should trim it of all white space now that I think about it. Am I trimming it of new lines when I shouldn't? What is going on? I think that flow is not showing me what I really wrote there. So this is wrong. This is correct. One completion errors, such as? Oh, is flow nuking empty lines? Or am I somehow failing to produce them? No, there is just no way that I'm failing to produce them. I'm using the schema tokenizer. What if I temporarily change this to just space? Okay, it has to be flow. Okay, so this is now fine. It has to be flow. There is no other way. I mean, okay, if I don't put a new line, so this is now broken. I did it wrong on purpose. Yeah, and now it's just a soup. If I put a new line and I put multiple new lines, if they don't show up, it's necessarily the editor and not me. They don't show up. Okay, so it's the editor. Okay, so that is fine. So this is correct. We're doing what we need to do. The editor is eating empty lines. Uh, yeah, which is fine. Why does this one not print anything? Oh, because it doesn't have any docs. Okay, fair. Fair, fine. Um, this also doesn't print anything, and that is fine. Oh, this is not updating. That is sad. Okay, but we're making some progress. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so we unborked the LSP a bunch. That is good. Um, hmm. Let's see if this is working also inside of the room. Also, what happened now? Oh, we just leaked. Okay, so this is just a leaking complaint. That's fine. So the next step is let's edit not the Ziggy thing, but let's edit a SMD file. Content index.smd. Go to definition, not working. Date title. This stuff is not working, and holy shit, we are crashing hard. No, this is still the leaking from before. Okay. Oh, I think I understand what the problem is. We're just not loading the. We're just not loading Ziggy. Edit LSP configuration, global project, edit file type configuration for. Is this considered markdown? Oh, SuperMD does not have its own type, so it's considered markdown. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's not marksman the problem. It's the formatter. Right. Okay, so marksman is the language server. And I see, and I don't have it. And I think in our case, it's going to be Ziggy LSP. There we go. Ta-da! Unrecognized language day markdown. Fuck. Of course. It has to be super MD. But we can fuck with this, right? I think I'm in the process of doing something stupid. No, this worked though. Okay. Trying to find schema at index smd dash schema. Okay, now that's not how it works, but we did end up picking it up. There you go. Go to definition works. Autocomplete doesn't work yet because I didn't fix it, but it works. I think I can even make this better. Oh, autocomplete doesn't work for enum cases yet. Okay, so I need to unbork the autocomplete stuff. But this is good. Look, it rightfully complains about missing field layout. Schema expected found. That is a good experience, isn't it? Strongly typed front matter. I love it. I love it. So if we unbork, so if we finish polishing the Zig LSP, there's still some more work to do. But if we get that to a good state, and then we do some more, let's say, secondary work tied to just getting the toolchain in a good state around everything, we're in business. We are in business. Neuroside, are you still around? I guess he went. That's fine. So if he were to support multiple language servers at the same time, which I don't even know if it's a good idea. So, but I think some editors do support that. Then you could run the Ziggy language server at the same time as a Markdown language server, and it would be fine. Although that is a temporary need in our case, it's not like necessarily structural. But yo, so far so good. Really, so far so good. Hmm. Okay, this is awesome. This is good progress. Good stuff. Space K. There we go. Field. The publishing date of this page. Yeah, this is indeed a field. I need to formalize this a little bit better. You know what? Frankly, for now, we can omit this because we're only looking at one thing at a time anyway. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the LSP kind of pooped itself because it didn't. Let me restart it again. So it restarts, but it doesn't open the page. Yeah, I think I'm really experiencing Flow not opening the page, and so the everything gets pooped essentially. Well, this is it. So I think I'm gonna stop the stream here. I could go a little bit longer, but I think this is a good time for me to take a break because we got the main stuff working. So I'm gonna take a break, relax a little bit, and then later on probably I will do some more LSP polishing. And we are getting dangerously close to being able to make a release of everything that we've been touching. So that is really nice. I'm looking forward to the improved experience of using Ziggy and Zine this way. So thank you all for hanging out. I hope you had a good time, and I